Hi, folks. You're with Tacitus Today, your pushback channel. Thank you for joining this radio audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the issue of remigration or migration hopping, refugees supposedly seeking refuge, but then hopping around to different countries because this country offers slightly more benefits or better benefits than another. Now, this is a massive people movement exercise where millions upon millions of people are moving around, supposed refugees, and they're moving from one safe country to another just because the benefits are slightly better. Now, what's amazing to me is that not only the scale of it, but something like 50% of the refugees are actually moving from one safe country to another purely on the basis that the benefits, the handouts, the freebies are slightly better or slightly more, or there are less conditions attached and so on. So we're looking at a massive army of freeloaders that are just moving around. Now, sure, they may originally come from poor countries or basket case corrupt countries, but some of them come from middle income or lower middle income countries. So the Ukraine, for example. So I'm just trying to sort of, try to get my head around this idea that someone's already in a safe country, they're already being given free accommodation or free food and free medical. They're already getting those things, but they think, well, gee, I've noticed that the benefits in Ireland are better than they are in, Poland, for example. So I think I'll go to, says the Ukrainian refugee, I think I'll go to Ireland now. This is someone that doesn't speak a word of English. They only speak and can read Russian, Ukrainian, but somehow they're able to understand or be informed about the details, the line item details of the benefits offered in Ireland, for example, which is a small country, a long way away. And they're deciding, well, gee, I think I'll go there. Because I get an extra 6 months of free housing, or there I don't have to work. I can just sit around doing. But why would you go there? It's a very different culture. Certainly, the cultural and language differential between Ukraine and Poland is relatively small. But going to a place like Ireland or the further west you travel, the cultural differences become greater, the way people live, the language is different, the laws are different, and there's a whole lot of different things. So why would you take a plunge into what clearly is an unknown? Now, you may be a lower, sort of a working class person in a lower middle income country like Ukraine, which is extremely corrupt, so very low cost of living on a relative basis, but extremely corrupt. So why would you want to move to that far away to such a very different place? And again, how do you get to find out about it? So we're looking at if you like, an international sort of information network that translates into different languages and gives line item type level interpretation. Do you know in Ireland you can get 2 years free accommodation? And that 2 years is conditional on the amount of people in the dwelling. And so the laws and the details of the laws are being explained in quite explicit detail. So people can make judgment, well, hey, that means I get an extra year and a half of free accommodation paid for by someone else. Wow, I think I'll go there. Now, once you've had that explained to you and you understand it, and someone's saying, look, it's better if you go over there than here. Then you've got a situation where you've got to get there. So you're a penniless, but you've got no income, you've got no job, you've got no money, you're living supposedly hand to mouth on the handouts, for free though they may be, the handouts of say Poland or I don't know, Hungary or somewhere like that on the Ukrainian border. So where do you get the money to travel to Ireland? Because there's 4 of you. It's not cheap. How do you get there? How do you fill out the paperwork? How do you file a document? You don't speak a word of English. So in other words, you need a lot of help. So you need a lot of advice and you need a lot of help. You need a lot of people that you trust pointing things out to you. and you need to be able to be handheld the whole way through that. But then tens of thousands of people do this. They're already in a safe country as a refugee, but they just go to another country just because the benefits are slightly better. Now, the NGOs play a huge role in this, and the NGOs are working in lockstep with globalist-controlled government and the United Nations. So it's a massive scam. There's no natural forces at work here. There's no highly educated Ukrainians who speak perfect English and understand legal parlance that's sitting there reading the Irish newspapers or reading the debates in the Irish Parliament or the laws that are framed in Ireland, and they're sitting down reading those. Oh, well, look, I think we'll go to Ireland. None of that's happening. That doesn't happen. Most of the people who are moving around are either don't speak a word of English or are illiterate in their own language. Now, that would be less the case with Ukrainians, but nonetheless. So people from all over Africa and the illiterate peasants from rural Pakistan and all this sort of thing, they're somehow finding out about all this and deciding to make a move. I don't think they're making a decision at all. I think they're effectively being loaded onto a bus and moved around at the behest of the NGOs. Hey, we want to give your place here in Poland. We want to give this to other people, so we're going to move you to Ireland, and you'll get a better deal there anyway, more handouts. So I think it's effectively that the NGOs in conjunction with the UN, and so on, it's become an organised, supposedly for humanitarian, people smuggling operation. But as in they move people around. So I think the government of Ireland or anywhere in the world is, particularly white Western governments, that put up to this. Okay, these are the benefits you'll offer, and then we'll move 100,000 people into the. So I think it's all pre-arranged in the back room. Sleazy backroom deals, propaganda machine at full tilt, and anyone that complains about it is accused of being a Nazi and this sort of thing. So I think it's all happening there. So I don't think these peasants and these people are actually making conscious decisions. They can't read the language. They can't understand legalese or anything like that. So they're being told and they're being just moved around again. The NGOs and the UN have effectively become a people smuggling operation. Sure, they say, well, it's humanitarian, it's for the better and this and that, but that's bullshit. It's a fucking people smuggling operation. They're just as bad as the sleazy people smugglers that operate, the criminal gangs that operate as people smuggling. People smuggling is such a lucrative game now that the drug cartels around a lot of countries say, hey, we make more money out of people smuggling than we ever could out of fucking drugs. So now it also includes people though from the third world peasants. It isn't just maybe a genuine refugee from, say, a war-torn country like might be happening in Ukraine as an example. And to just be clear, the military struggle in Ukraine and Russia and all that sort of stuff, that's happening at the eastern side of Ukraine. So refugee camps could easily be set up inside Ukraine on the western side, easily set up there and maintained by the United Nations and so on. But they choose not to do it. And I think that's rather odd, because then you keep the Ukrainian people in their own country, subject to with their own language and their own laws and customs and habits, but they don't do that oddly. So they're very keen to move these people out of Ukraine, but only into the West. Why don't they move these Ukrainian refugees into a refugee camp in Africa, for example, or the Middle East? Why is it only to Western countries? Anyway, but the same goes for African supposed refugees that arrive in Germany or France or Italy or anywhere across Europe. They're in a safe country, then they'll find out or be advised. Again, I think it's people trafficking. These people don't understand what's going on. They just moved. Hey, you guys over there, you get on that bus. You're moving to here or there. So they then they'll discover that the benefits in Germany are better or just been announced. So they'll move to Germany for 6 or 12 months. then the benefits are better in France, they'll move there. Then the benefits are better in Britain, so they'll move there. Wherever the freebie handouts go, and I've noticed the freebie handouts, the best, the move there. Then the benefits are better in Britain, so they'll move there. Wherever the freebie handouts go, and I've noticed the freebie handouts, the best, the most premium freebie handouts, where you get the free phone, the free accommodation, free food, free medical, free everything. They tend to move around a bit. One day or 1 year it's Britain that's offering the best, the next year it's Germany, and the year after that it's Sweden or Austria or something, anywhere else. And so the people are moving around. Now the speed at which the minute these new laws are passed or new benefits are offered, often quietly, very quietly decided. Sometimes these decisions are made administratively. It's not even a parliamentary vote or debate. It's an administrative decision that's made very quietly in background. But somehow the NGOs and the UN and the people smuggling sort of apparatus, they get to discover this very, very quickly, almost the day it's announced. So it has to be done in coordination. Must be. Can't be anything else. And then the day following, the people, these supposed refugees are arriving, but they're already in a safe country. They're refugees that are remigrating again. So when I saw these numbers, that nearly 50% of refugees might remigrate, and then 20% migrate a third time. So we're looking at a massive racket here, a people movement racket. And again, the UN and the NGOs, all these supposed charities that are able to operate tax-free. The Irish government funds the NGO sector. Nearly all the NGOs in Ireland receive 50% or more of their funding from the government, and still are able to claim tax exemption status on the basis of being a charity. What a fucking scam. And these people are at the forefront of these remigration things. So between a fifth and a quarter of refugees are actually in their third safe country of residence. That's not that they passed through it because they were, spend a few hours there as they pass through. This is an act where they've been resident in one country, then another, and then another again, all running around shopping for the most handouts. It's an outrageous and terrible scam, but I can't see any effort by any Western political grouping to put a stop to it. You've been fantastic today, your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.